What's going on, you guys? Phase Rainbow here, and welcome to another quick video. Today's video will be on an update on the Polaris Sportsman 400, and as you can see, it's quite shiny in a way, a lot more cleaner than what it was. So what basically has been done? We polished the fenders. Well, we took the back racks off the fenders. I'm eventually going to buy stickers for it. I'll try to go as original as I possibly can. It might not be to the exact extent, but it'd be better than anything. Because that's what happened with the Honda, right? Well, I mean, it matches. I'll try to match it as best way I can. I know there's stickers out there. You just gotta look. Some of it there, you can see this, some of that's peeling off. But I think what I'll do is probably take whatever remaining stickers are on here off. Like this one here is pretty gnarly looking, but we'll have to eventually take the rest of that off. What originally happened was stickers are already half off from over the years, and a friend of mine and myself are pressure washing the bike quite a few times, and I guess over time the stickers started peeling off, so I guess we just left it at that. So now that I have the bike in my possession, which is now mine, and I don't know if I forget if I ever did mention this. So this bike is mine, so yeah. So I'll eventually buy stickers for it. Overall, it's a pretty clean bike. I mean, it has some cracks here. I know there's a couple. Well, there's one sort of a crack here. I know there's one right here. And then there's a little bit on the other side, like that's all cracked up there. I didn't really stitch that part. That's kind of a bit cracked. And there's a spot there you can kind of see the zip ties there. But overall, I mean, bike's in pretty good shape for what it is over the years, despite all the cracks. The exhaust seen better days. It's typical for these old bikes to got all rusty and crusty looking like that. I know there's some slight cracks in the back here. Right about where my finger is, there's a slight crack and kind of a little bit of an exhaust leak, but not really. There's a slight, how do I say it, like a slight space. You can almost get your pinky finger in there. But it's nothing too major. I like to have an aftermarket exhaust, or at least try to patch this one up. I know the rear diff fluid's getting quite low. That's gonna be topped up. I actually found a video based on all the fluids on these machines and the 500 Sportsmans in this model, but the 500. So. Okay, where was I? So basically, I found a video on like fluid changing and adding based on these modeled Polaris Sportsmans, and is including the late 90s models, the 500 Sportsmans. Yeah, this is a 2004, and the ones I was looking at was a 99 500 Sportsman Polaris. But it is the same machine. The only really difference I find is the graphics, obviously the colors, and the gauge cluster is quite different from the late 90s versions. The late 90s doesn't have the little digital, whatever you want to call it, part of the speedometer. It's just all it is just complete analog gauge. It doesn't have the little screen display on this like this one has. The late 90s didn't come out with that till early 2000s. So that, like I said, the early 2000s is when they first came out with the little screen display like this one here. So, and then I think mid late 2000s, same deal, but a little nicer and newer than these kind of gauges. Actually had the digital fuel gauge on like some of the newer Polaris Sportsmen. They had the digital fuel gauge. Mid 2000s had that. This one here doesn't have nothing, nothing at all to check fuel level. You have to go based on you gotta have to look in the tank, swish it around, and you're gonna have to be the one to judge how much is in the tank. I haven't had a bike that I had to do that to since our older bike, which was the '91 Honda 4-Track 300. So we're kind of back to that old stage again, where you have to take a look in the tank, give it a little swish around, and judge how much fuel's in there. But every time I go out, I always top these machines up all the time, every time. So I never had an issue where I ran out of gas on any of our machines that we've had over the last few years. Never had an issue. So I always like to keep these machines topped up, especially when we go on a nice long ride. So other than that, yeah, it's not really a whole lot. This stuff obviously comes with one key. Some of the ones I've seen over the years came with 2 keys, but this one, you see, I dropped the key. This one's a bit bent, but still works good. Just a typical old-fashioned key, nothing fancy. So what I did earlier was I took the bolts off. There's a bolt here, there, and 2 here. I was going to take this off. I had this off before quite a few times. The last time I took this off, I did swamp the bike, you can say. I had this thing so badly caked in mud. I took all the plastics off, washed them. I just gave them a wash because the pressure washer was unavailable, not working, so I just had no choice but to do a garden hose wash, which didn't really do the greatest job, but it was better than anything. So what happened was, during that time, I had unplugged the back light. As you can see here, this is the wire that goes to the back light. Actually, that sticker's in quite mint shape now that I'm looking at it. It's actually in mint shape, this sticker. Jeez. That's one I'm not going to want to peel off. That's in very, very good shape. There's no spots there where it's peeling off. There's no cracks in it. Well, you can tell by how old it is. I mean, there's dirt and that inside it, but nothing that's causing to make it peel off or nothing. That's in really good shape, that sticker. And that's factory too, so nothing I put on. So that's something I'm gonna worth keep on the back here. And I might just leave it's on a bar. I'm just gonna leave that on there. Actually, this would be my second bike that I have rear independent suspension on, because all my other ones were straight axle. The last bike I had, obviously you guys knew, it was the 92 Quadrunner 300 Suzuki. This would be my second machine that had the rear independent suspension, and this is like a bit of a newer and better system than the one I had previously. Especially my Quadrunner, it was in more of a shape of a Y. So this one's probably a little bit of a better setup than the one I had before. So, but anyways, as you can see there, like I said, here's the wire that goes to the back light. If I can get at a better spot here, I had just plugged it back in about 5 minutes ago. Like I said there, when I got this bike fully badly caked in mud, I had unplugged it and never plugged it back in, and it's been unplugged for the last 2 years. And I did just do a quick test on it to make sure it works, and it does. And I'm surprised because, sitting the last 2 years, you think the inner part of it would get all corroded, but it didn't. So I'm surprised. Another thing that we gotta do is the card boot here is all cracked, except for one spot on the other side. But I mean, it's cracked. It's gotta get fixed. I don't know if you can get another one. I'm sure you can. You can really tell on camera it's cracked. I never got it on video, but the last time I did pressure wash this bike, I think I do have it on video. I don't know if it's on this channel or the mess around channel, and I believe it is the mess around channel that I have. If I can, I'll put it on the bottom of the screen what it is, and you guys can go check it out if you wish to do so. What happened was I pressure washed this bike one day, and I happened to pressure wash here, and I guess some water got into the boot, and then the carburetor is right there. So obviously the water ended up in the carb. I went to go start it. It started, but as soon as I hit the throttle, it'll just bog and die. And I couldn't get this bike to run, like to move or nothing. So I'm in neutral. I'm just playing with the throttle, and it took me like 2 days to clean it out. So, and then eventually started moving, and eventually cleaned itself out. But I mean, I could go ride this right now, no problem whatsoever. But as soon as I hit water, I'm afraid that water might end up getting into that boot. So, what I'm thinking of doing is put some black silicone or some sort of thin on that boot, maybe temporarily, or just see if I can get another boot for that. Trying to get that boot on will be hopefully not a big challenge. I mean, obviously you'd have to replace, or not replace, but take off the air filter cover, and these things are super easy to take off. Just undo that clip, these six clips, I should say, not four. And this thing comes right out. You just slide it right out, slide it back in. It's that easy. So I don't think that'll give you actually, I think, quite a clear spot. Hopefully you don't really need to take anything else off that bike. Here's a bolt that holds part of the gas tank, but hopefully you don't need to mess with that. Other than that hose is kind of in the way here. And part of this, so I don't think it would be that bad to take off. I just hopefully it's not a too big of a process to do. So there is that. There's two options to do. I'm gonna try and probably see if I can get a car boot for that. And other than that, that's basically all it. I did have an issue of it starting before. I think it's just because the battery's badly shot. But even though I did have it charged up before, it still didn't want to start. But that could be me. That could mean anything. I don't know. The starter wasn't making contact before. I don't know. Maybe I fixed it by banging on it so damn much over the years, but I don't know. Right now, it obviously needs a new battery. Right now, there's an AGM battery in there, and like I said, it's badly shot, so I'm eventually going to get a new battery for it. I'm going to have to get two new batteries. One for the Honda and one for this bike. Apparently, my battery's no good in the Honda. Well, if that is correct, and if that's the issue, we fully charged the battery that was in the Honda, and we put a voltage meter on it. It has power somewhat, and it still doesn't want to start. So it's either the voltage regulator on that machine or it's the battery, and I think it's the battery. And that battery was only a year old. So that's two batteries I need to buy. So that's going to be a big bill, but it's something that I need. So probably I won't have really much of a choice. Other than that, other than tires, I'm pretty much good to go. Hopefully no inner parts, like bearings and stuff. Apparently there was in these suckers right there. Oh, in these suckers right here, there's like a fluid of some sort. I gotta look further into the video that I've found. He explains basically what this is all about and how to change it or check it or whatever the heck it was he said. I gotta look into that video further. Other than that, that's basically all it really needs. Well, other than basically a fluid change and top up, definitely an oil change, big time. I think the oil change hasn't been done in like 5 years. I know the oil looks pretty gnarly. It's good enough for now. Somebody I think stripped the oil plug on this thing. I think last year or 2 years ago, I tried changing the oil in this machine, and I've managed to get the drain plug loose, but it just did not want to come off, and it kept on spinning, and I said to myself, the thing should have came out way long time ago, and the oil should have been spitting out right about now, and it just did not do a thing. So I think somebody stripped the oil plug, so hopefully that's a fixable thing to do. Yeah, that's going to be probably an issue there. Other than that, your typical oil filter. It's a little bit of work that needs to be done to this bike. Hopefully, no inner parts like wheel bearings and like boots and stuff like that. Right now that I know of, I don't have a problem with that as of this time. But if there is, I'll definitely eventually do an update. Um, my dad and myself are gonna do what we can to this bike, and worst case, we'll get a friend of mine who lives quite far from here to double check it out when it comes to spring. If that's the case, I don't know. We're eventually going to be doing a bench test on this thing, and I'll give it a tryout. Even though I drove it, but I haven't physically drove it in the trails. We did sort of once, but a good long time ride is what we have not done to this bike in forever. So I don't know how it's going to turn out in rough terrain, stuff like that. So I haven't done a test like this ever on that machine. So. We're going to eventually see how it turns out. We were going to do it today, sort of, in a way. But, with stuff going on, I'm going to be gone this afternoon. My father, he was tempting to do that. But he has stuff to do, too. So it would have been kind of a pain in the ass to move that bike onto the trailer. Plus my father's, it would have been a pain in the ass. So, another day, perhaps. And I still got to change the ownership over, so... yeah, but anyways, the fluid that I got with that bike is this stuff here. Is the anti fluid or coolant, whatever you want to call it, coolant. I still don't quite know what this fluid's for. I can kind of tell. I forget. My father would probably know more about that, or I can easily look up on YouTube. But anyways, I'm kind of aiming the camera down, so I gotta move this up a better so you guys get a better position on it. So here's this stuff here, and this was bought I think like 15 years ago, and it is like barely been touched. I mean, probably a little bit's missing, but basically these are full bottles. They have not been touched. So this is the synthetic gear case lubricant and transmission fluid. So at least I know which one of them that is. This is almost about half a bottle here. Angle drive fluid. So, there's that. And this stuff here, Demand Drive Plus. That's French. Okay, so this stuff here is not a bottle to replace the angle drive fluid. This is, I think, like a top-up kind. I don't know, so... But anyways, that's what it is. That's basically it. That's all. That's to this machine, and yeah, it's be quite an interesting machine to drive out in the trails. Okay, just for the video, I figured I'd do a quick cold start on her. I think that was res. I don't even remember what's reserve or on. So, pull in the choke. First start. Alright, back leg works as you can see. There you go. First full, starts right up. No problem. So when it gets colder, I don't know. It'll be quite interesting to see how it'll start. There you go. shut the gas off before I forget. There you go. Ooh, cheat yourself out here. Out of here. Oh, that's basically about it. Nothing else to her.